A study by Australian scientists has found a link between type 2 diabetes and vitamin D. The research found people who don't produce enough of the vitamin are at risk of becoming diabetic, and it's estimated between a third and a fifth of our population is deficient in vitamin D, which is produced when the skin is exposed to sunlight. Peter Ebeling is from the University of Melbourne. He's also Professor of Medicine at Western Health. He was involved in the study and he joins me now. So, Peter Ebeling, if you are vitamin D deficient, how big is your risk of developing type 2 diabetes?
Well, we were actually able to look at this over the 5-year study where there were about 200 incident cases of diabetes. So for every 25 units that the vitamin D level went down, there was a 24% increase in the risk of getting diabetes, and that was independent of about 10 other risk factors that we looked at. So it's a significant increase in risk if you do have a low vitamin D level and other risk factors for getting diabetes.
What is surprising is that so many people are vitamin D deficient, up to a third of the population, according to some estimates. Now, we're all wary of too much sun exposure, but how much is enough?
Well, we've been working with the Cancer Council through Osteoporosis Australia. So we have some safe sun exposure guidelines that are available from the Osteoporosis Australia website. But in southern parts of Australia, you don't need much. You need about 10 minutes of sunlight exposure 4 or 5 times a week before 10 o'clock or after 2 o'clock to make enough vitamin D, but more in winter, say half an hour in the middle of the day. But the problem is if you're a refugee, like Ann Doe, or have dark skin, you may avoid the sun for cultural reasons, or you may not make enough vitamin D, and then you'll need 6 times as long out in the sun. So it's this group that are really at risk of vitamin D deficiency, particularly in southern Australia.
Could vitamin D supplements help?
They can help. They're readily available over the counter. But for the refugee families, they need large quantities of vitamin D. So we've been working with the state government in Victoria and also the Commonwealth government to make higher dose vitamin D, which is a lot cheaper, readily accessible for the families like these refugee families who need it.
So could increasing vitamin D help people who already have type 2 diabetes control the condition?
Well, there is some evidence that if you are vitamin D deficient and you have diabetes, that might help your diabetes control. So I think if you do have diabetes or you're at risk of having diabetes, it might be good to either take vitamin D or have a vitamin D level checked in your blood through your local doctor.
Peter Ebeling, thank you.
Thank you.